Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6. Touchdown, Bobcats.
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness!
Brett Murdoch, pick 6. Harbath inside the 30, the 20. Blake Harbath will score.
And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there.
There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye.
Intercepted.
Tyree Skipper, touchdown.
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly.
Quarterback keeper showing off the speed, steps on the gas, untouched.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to kick off the 2025 college football season with you. And as always, we'll be bringing you G5 college football coverage that you love each and every week. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. I am Luke, and I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. And tonight, we are joined by a special guest, Colton Pool from Hero Sports, to help us kick off the 2025 college football season. Welcome back, Justice, and thanks for joining us tonight, Colton.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be fun.
Yeah,
Can't wait. It's just been doing this Worker Bee series, and I'm different. This is a different intro. I'm used to. I've got this whole other verse just memorized, and I couldn't do that tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back. College football's here, less than 2 weeks. Week 0 starting off, and excited for another season of G5 Hive Live, so to speak. Colton, before we kind of jump into things, I want to kind of give you an opportunity to kind of tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and Hero Sports and what you guys do over there.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for the opportunity to be on here. I've been on Hero Sports. This will be season 3 for me now. Hero Sports has covered FCS football for a number of years. My colleague Sam Herder was kind of spearheading that. And then, a couple years ago, they wanted to expand into the group of 5. And then I kind of came into the equation. And now we sort of cover the sort of mid-major level of college football together. It's certainly I guess a subset of college football that is super fun to watch and seems to be more and more swept under the rug, we'll say, by the bigger national spotlights. So I love doing this. I love covering these teams, and like I said, it's fun. It's fun football, So that's a little bit about me.
All right. Let's move over to the Mid-American Conference for some MACtion. I'm going to start us off here with my conference sleeper dark horse. In my opinion, I see 4 teams near the top, so I'm avoiding picking one of those 4 teams. I think my dark horse would be Northern Illinois. Final year in the conference. I think they want to make some noise. They always play solid defense. I feel like their biggest question marks is offense. We know they want to run the ball and run the ball a lot, control that clock. I think they have the running backs to do it. But I think this year, the difference for them is I think they're going to get solid quarterback play out of Josh Holst. And I think he's going to, make a big push for the Huskies to kind of make the MAC championship game in their final year in the MAC. And plus, I'm a sucker for a good story, right? That would be a kind of a cool story to see Northern Illinois make that championship, maybe even win it in their final year in the conference. All right, Colton, who you got in the MAC as a sleeper or dark horse?
Oh boy, I was torn on this one. If I were to pick one,
You can pick more than one.
yeah, I mean that's true. I like Western Michigan because I like Lance Taylor, and preseason and especially nowadays in the transfer portal era when there's so many question marks for every single team because all these G5 teams are losing guys. I tend to go to put a lot of emphasis on these predictions with who has the best coach, and I think Western Michigan has a pretty good staff there with Lance Taylor. I don't know if I guess we're picking dark horses, so it's not like we're all in on who's going to win it. But I think Western Michigan, I think they're going to be pretty solid this year. And yeah, Northern Illinois is another team to watch. I mean, what they did last year is early in the season, getting that Notre Dame win. I mean, I think the program is in kind of going in the right direction and is going to be competitive again in the MAC. Even with all the sort of like I said, every team is losing guys. So all to say, I like NIU and I like WMU this year.
All right, Luke, who you got?
I've got a different directional Michigan school for my dark horse, and that's Central Michigan. You go to San Jose to start the season. We all have San Jose high up there. I don't think they win that game, but they have at Pittsburgh, at Michigan. You come out of those healthy. You get home at Wagner. So you start MAC play. You got Eastern Michigan, go to Akron, go to Bowling Green, UMass at home, go to Western. That's where November. So, if Western is the dark horse, you've got that rivalry game there at home against Buffalo. So you get Buffalo at home. You go to Kent State, and then you end the season at Toledo. You got your Miami's of Ohio's that you don't play. You don't play NIU. Their schedule sets up very well that, maybe their first contest, it's a WKU versus Central Michigan rivalry game. Throw the records, throw everything out the window. That game, November 1st, they could have a shot at a championship appearance. I think Central Michigan, plus you get Coach Drinkall comes in with a Army discipline. I think that they're going to be a well-coached team. You also bring in, I'm trying to forget, I forget the offensive coordinator's name, but you bring in two of them. You get one from Eastern Washington, while the other one comes in from Grandview there in Des Moines, Iowa. And they're drastically different styles. One's pass heavy, one can run the ball. So I think depending on how the season goes, if they get thrown a curveball with injuries or whatnot, I think they can adapt well. Central Michigan is my dark horse.
All right. I feel like, one thing like the MAC doesn't really get a lot of credit for is the out of conference schedule. I feel like as a whole, the MAC teams play by far the hardest out of conference schedule. Now, I think part of that is necessity, right? They need that money in those buy games. But man, it just from top to bottom, the MAC generally plays a brutal out of conference schedule. And so it's almost like whoever can come out of that out of conference schedule the most healthy probably kind of has a leg up in the Mid-American Conference.
I think part of that too is you're kind of in Big Ten country. So okay, you're close to an Ohio State, you're close to a Michigan, you're close to these schools. I think that helps.
All right, let's move over to our MAC championship game picks. And this, for me, this is probably the hardest conference to pick because I feel like, there's four teams I really, really like. But I can only, and three that I like, to me are so close to each other, but only being able to pick two. I think I am going to go with Toledo and Ohio. The other two teams that are very close for me are Buffalo and Miami. But Ohio did it a year ago. Won the MAC championship They returned Parker Navarro at quarterback. They get Sight Bangura back at running back. He had a 1 year layover there at Minnesota. He returns to the Bobcats. I think offensively they're going to be, one of the best teams in the MAC. They play a brutal out of conference schedule though, brutal. And they play Rutgers, West Virginia, Ohio State. That they have to come out of that healthy. When you look at their conference schedule, probably their toughest game is Week 11 against Miami. They do lose their head coach, Tim Albin, but Coach Smith, the offensive coordinator from a year ago, takes over. So I think I don't really think they're going to miss a beat there. They did lose some pieces on that defense, but I think they did a nice job on filling some of those voids in the transfer portal. And so I think I like Ohio to make it back to the conference championship game. And then Toledo. Man, Toledo to me always feels like the most talented team in the MAC, but they were a team that Jason Candle can never seem to kind of get them over the hump. And I hope this is the year they can do it. I think from a talent perspective, they probably are the most talented team in the MAC. You got Tucker Gleason returning there at quarterback. They bring in Chip Trayanum, running back. He's freshman at Arizona State, was lights out at Arizona State, transfers to the Buckeyes, Ohio State, plays some linebacker for them, ends up being I think he finally played some running back his final year there at Ohio State. He then goes to Kentucky last year, and people expected big things from him. He never seemed to be healthy. But I think him coming back to the MAC, we saw what he did as a freshman at Arizona State. I think Chip Trayanum, probably, if not the best, one of the best running backs in the MAC by far. Maybe even in all of the G5. And yeah, so I think Toledo does get over that hump this year and make it to the MAC championship game for Jason Candle. All right, Colton, who you got in the MAC championship?
Yeah, I've got different teams, but I totally agree with you on that specific tier at the top. To me, there's a pretty clear divide in those four teams. But for me, I think Miami, Ohio gets there. I think DeQuan Finn was a great addition for that team. A guy that obviously knows the conference, and the conference knows him. I think he kind of had a down season at Baylor, and so he'll come back with something to prove. And I think, Miami, Ohio, they've got a tough start to the season, but I think that'll sort of battle test them and get them ready for MAC play. And then the other team, so when we're doing our season previews, we include the key returners, the guys who made all conference the year before. And usually there's one, maybe two. Pretty often there's no all conference guys coming back for a lot of these G5 teams. For Buffalo, there's 7. I think that not only was that team successful last year, they have a ton of guys coming back. And the coaching staff proved that they can, lead that team to success last year. So I think Buffalo is probably, I think my 6th highest ranked team in all of Group of 5. So I'm going Buffalo, Miami, Ohio.
All right, Luke, over to you.
I have Toledo versus Buffalo in my championship game. We've talked about Toledo ad nauseum here, but their schedule sets up, pretty nice. You get Northern Illinois at home. You go and you have to play at Miami of Ohio the following week. I think it'll be that key swing will be they go to Washington State and then they get home against Northern Illinois. It's like that 3-game stretch will be huge. Do they have a letdown or not? And then Buffalo, kind of what Colton's talking about. All those guys returning. The only big out-of-conference game that, you just want to make sure you don't get hurt in is Minnesota. And I think that's a sneaky game that they might be able to win. You've got friend of the podcast, L.J. Henderson, Red Murdoch, leading the charge there for the Bulls. But you got Kent State, Eastern Michigan, UMass, Akron, Bowling Green, Central Michigan, Miami of Ohio, and Ohio. Like, I feel like they control their own destiny, and it gets, if they're able to beat Central Michigan, their last 2 games of the season, you control it. You're at home for both games. I gotta go Buffalo and Toledo.
All right, time to pick our winners. For me, the Mid-American Conference champion. And this pick makes me really nervous. And I'd probably put my confidence level at like a 55% in this pick between my 2 championship teams in Toledo and Ohio. I'm gonna pick the Toledo Rockets. And I'll tell you why I'm there. What makes me nervous about that team? And that's the quarterback play. Tucker Gleason last year had some games, man, where he just wasn't good. And I feel like, if you look at, Ohio, they got Parker Navarro. You look at Miami, they got DeQuan Finn. And so, both of those quarterbacks are proven winners in the MAC. And so, I think for Toledo to win, Tucker Gleason kind of has to take that next step and show he kind of has that championship mentality, if you will. I do think Toledo has the most talent. The quarterback position does make me nervous, but I am if I have to pick a pick today, I am going to pick the Toledo Rockets as my Mid-American Conference champion. Who you got, Colton?
So, normally with college football, normally I give sort of tiebreakers to who has the best quarterback at the end of the day, really, and but if you're going old school mentality, it's not necessarily who has the best quarterback, it's who has the best defense, who has the best all-around roster. And the MAC to me is an old school conference. So I'm going Buffalo. I think the while you may have some questions at who exactly is going to how are they going to look at quarterback compared to the others, you got some more proven signal callers. Buffalo, to me, top to bottom, best roster in the MAC. I'm going with the Bulls.
All right, Luke.
I'm going with Toledo. I think that they get over the hump and go this year. You talked about quarterback play, Colton. That's one thing that I really like about Central Michigan. When you look at teams with what their quarterback 2 looks like, Jaden Glasser, outstanding freshman last year, played well. Definitely more of a running quarterback. But if there is a hiccup, they've got a functional, a good backup quarterback. And talk about Buffalo. That was quarterback play is what kind of kept me away. Roberson there, I would assume, is going to be the starter. Hasn't had a lot of success outside. And they're going to lean on Alj in that defense. But just getting hit in the Midwest in the winter is a little bit different. Toledo, I just feel just has the depth. So Toledo are my champions. Colton, we want to thank you for joining us tonight to help us kick off the 2025 college football season. Before we can go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you, Hero Sports, and maybe some things that you have coming up this season?
Yeah, you find all our stuff at Hero Sports News on X, Twitter, and then I'm at Pool Reporter. And then Hero Sports, where we have all our content. We are doing a preview on every single G5 team, as well as our other FCS content. And yeah, we've got our preseason All-America teams and top 25 coming out this week, and we'll have a top 25, which again you guys are partaking in, and thank you for that. And yeah, we're going to be writing all sorts of stuff game previews, some betting content, some features, analysis, you name it, we'll have it there. And yeah, like in true Group of Five fashion, starting the show late and ending it at least Eastern time, ending it the next day. So respect to you guys for doing this, and thank you for having me.
Well, Colton, absolutely, would love to have you back another time and do it again.
Absolutely.
It's our first live show of the kind of kicking off the 2025 season. We hope everyone has enjoyed the 2025 edition of our Worker Bee series, where we deep dive into every G5 college football team, bringing you the most comprehensive team previews available. But stay tuned, as we still have a few more of those episodes coming out over the next 2 weeks. Also, if you've not had a chance to check out our player interviews, we've done over 20 this offseason. Please do that, as we get to know a lot of very special young men who will be making big impacts on and off the field in 2025. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. On X, give us a follow. And if you're listening on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We are so grateful for the immense amount of support we have received this year. We hit a couple big milestones since we last went live. We hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Let's go.
We got a shout out on the Solid Verbal for our Worker Bee series, and like none of that happens without you guys, without your support. So kudos to you guys. We sincerely thank each and every one of you. And with that, be sure to join us next week as we preview week 0 of the 2025 season, and we will talk about the Hero Sports G5 Top 25 preseason poll. We'll break down what the consensus was, what our differences were, and maybe who we have ranked, who didn't make it in the consensus, and all that. So yeah, be sure to join us next Monday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, we are the G5 Hive.